I sit alone in the break room again. Same cracked chair. Same buzzing vending machine. Same silence. Nobody looks up when I walk in. Nobody says, "Good morning," anymore. No one even pretends to smile. It's like I don't exist. Like I'm some virus they're trying not to catch. A year ago, this room was different. Or maybe I was. Back then, I'd walk in and heads would turn, even if just slightly. Someone would hold the door. One of the guys, usually Brian or Marcus, would ask if I wanted coffee. Jason, always calm, always collected, would nod at me from the corner. He never flirted. Never tried anything. But there was something about the way he looked at me, steady, like he saw something I couldn't. I didn't appreciate it. Not really. I thought it was all some boring background noise to the real show, me. I used to think the reason they didn't joke with me, or talk to me the way they talked to Anna or Rachel, was because they were intimidated. Jealous. That I was just too pretty, too polished, too much for them. I genuinely believed that. Like, why else would a room full of men go quiet when I walked in? It had to be because I made them nervous. It couldn't possibly be something else. It definitely couldn't be me. Now, sitting here in this cold silence, I realize how stupid that sounds. And how dangerous that kind of thinking was. Because in trying to prove something, my worth, my beauty, my power, I managed to alienate every single person around me. I turned professionalism into pettiness. I twisted silence into rejection. And worst of all, I destroyed the only real connection I had. Jason, he wasn't just different. He respected me. Admired me, maybe. There was a warmth in him that wasn't performative. That didn't need an audience. And I crushed that. I crushed him. So yeah. Now I sit here alone, with no one left to impress and no one willing to even meet my eye. And I ask myself, over and over, was it worth it? Because the truth is, I didn't lose them because I was too pretty. I lost them because I was too proud. It started about a year ago, my first week at the new job. Marketing associate at a mid-sized firm downtown. Decent pay. Beautiful office. Open layout. And, as I noticed almost instantly, a lot of men. The department was easily 75% male. All ages, but mostly mid-30s and up. Smart guys, dressed sharp, well-spoken. A bit stiff, maybe. But hey, that's corporate life. I walked in that first week expecting what I always got, attention. Compliments. A little friendly banter. I don't say that to sound cocky, it's just what I was used to. I take care of myself. I wear heels. I know how to walk into a room. And usually, that room notices. But here, they didn't. Not really. They were polite. Friendly in that corporate, HR-safe kind of way. But that was it. No lunch invites. No inside jokes. No, hey, want to grab coffee. It was like they had this invisible wall up, and I wasn't allowed past it. At first, I brushed it off. New girl. Maybe they needed time. Then week 2 came. Then week 4. Still nothing. That's when the thought started creeping in. Maybe they're just intimidated. Maybe they're keeping their distance because they don't know how to act around a woman like me. Maybe they're jealous, or insecure, or worried I'll outshine them. It sounds arrogant now. I know. But at the time, it felt logical. I mean, it had to be something like that, right? One day at lunch, I brought it up to Anna, the only other woman on our team. I laughed as I said it, trying to sound casual. Is it just me, Or do the guys here not know how to talk to women who wear lipstick? Anna didn't laugh. She shrugged. Honestly, they're just like that. Quiet. Private. They keep to themselves. I don't think it's about you. I smiled, nodded, but inside, I didn't believe her. I didn't want to believe her. Because if it wasn't them, it meant something was off with me. And I couldn't sit with that. There was one guy though, Jason. He stood out. Not because he flirted or acted differently, but because he didn't. He was calm. Observant. If I needed help with a report, he'd send a detailed walkthrough without being asked. He never looked me up and down. Never complimented my outfit. Which made me assume the worst, he probably thinks I'm full of myself too. I told myself they were all the same, distant, awkward, too fragile to deal with a confident woman. I had no idea I was the one about to make everything worse. It all blew up over dinner and 2 glasses of wine. I was venting to my best friend, Layla, about work. Again. They're just so weird around me, I said. Like, it's not even subtle. I'll walk past, and suddenly the room goes silent. I say hi, and they pretend like I'm not even there. Layla rolled her eyes. They're intimidated. You're gorgeous and confident. That freaks insecure men out. I laughed, but the kind that's half bitter, half relieved. Exactly. It's not my fault I make them nervous. She nodded. Honestly. Say it louder. Women like us get labeled difficult just for existing. I remember going home that night still feeling the wine in my veins and the fire in my chest. I opened Instagram, stared at the blank story box, and then typed, "Why are male coworkers so awkward around women who look good?" Like, it's not my fault I make you nervous. I added a mirror selfie. Not too obvious. Just a little smirk. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't say names. But the post hit. The likes came fast. Girls I barely talked to DM'd me with "preach" and "you're a queen." Comments flooded in. It's called male fragility. They hate what they can't have. Keep intimidating the mediocre ones. I fell asleep feeling powerful. Validated. Like I'd finally said something that needed to be said. The next morning, I walked into the office ready for that quiet shift. That respectful energy. Maybe even a little admiration. Instead, the silence hit harder than ever. No nods. No small talk. Not even from Anna. It wasn't just quiet, it was icy. Deliberate. Jason walked right past me in the hallway. Didn't even glance up. During our team meeting, I cracked a joke. No one laughed. Not even a polite smirk. Afterward, Marcus, one of the guys I barely talked to, pulled me aside by the copy machine. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "We saw your post. And just so you know, we avoid you now, on purpose. You made it pretty clear how you see us." I stood there frozen, trying to blink the heat out of my face. I wanted to say it wasn't about them. That it was just a general observation. That I was venting. But instead, I crossed my arms and said, "Well, if the shoe fits." He shook his head. "No. It doesn't. You just decided we were the enemy because we didn't flirt with you." And then he walked away. That was the moment it all shifted. I felt it, but I wasn't ready to admit it. Not yet. It didn't take long for everything to change. No more "good morning" greetings when I walked in. Just the soft clack of keyboards and the occasional cough. Even the front desk girl, who used to smile at me, suddenly looked busy whenever I passed by. Lunch? Alone. Every day. Even Anna stopped asking if I wanted to join her and the girls from HR. I'd sit in the break room, scrolling through my phone, pretending I was fine. Pretending I wasn't counting the minutes until it was time to go back to my desk. Emails became sterile. No more, "Hey, hope your day's going well," or little emojis or inside jokes. Just subject lines and bullet points. Cold. Efficient. Like I was part of a system, not a team. And it wasn't just silence, it was avoidance. One afternoon, I walked into the shared workspace and overheard two guys talking near the coffee machine. Ever since that post, it's like, she made it weird for all of us. She made it about looks. Now we can't say anything without feeling watched. I froze. Just for a second. Just long enough to feel like I'd swallowed a stone. Jason was the hardest part. I tried to talk to him once, in the elevator. Just small talk, busy week, with a hopeful smile. He nodded. Yeah. No eye contact. No follow-up. The doors opened. He stepped out. That was it. And honestly, he hadn't done anything wrong. He was still respectful. Still decent. But I could feel it in the air, he was done. Whatever quiet connection had once existed between us had been smothered under the weight of my assumptions. Anna finally said it out loud, one day when I asked her what was going on. She didn't even look up from her screen. You wanted attention. Now you have it. Hope it was worth it. That one hurt the most. Because it came from someone who had once defended me. I went home that night and sat in the dark, phone in hand, scrolling through all the comments that had made me feel powerful just a week earlier. But now they felt empty. Because the people cheering me on didn't know me, and the ones who did, they were gone. And I was starting to realize, maybe that post wasn't confidence. Maybe it was insecurity dressed up in hashtags. The email from HR landed in my inbox like a punch to the stomach. Subject, scheduled meeting, workplace culture concern. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Or maybe a routine check-in. But the moment I stepped into the HR office and saw the printed screenshot of my Instagram story on the table, I knew. Someone had reported me. Several employees came forward, the HR rep said, voice calm but clipped. They feel your post contributed to a hostile work environment. I opened my mouth, maybe to defend myself, maybe to lie, but nothing came out. I had thought I was being cheeky. Empowered. Real. I didn't think anyone would take it seriously. I didn't think it would follow me into the office like a shadow I couldn't shake. They warned me, formally, about public comments that could damage team dynamics. That my post had created tension, distrust. That I was being watched now. I walked out of the office lightheaded. It felt like the ground under me had shifted, like I'd opened a door I didn't know I couldn't close. That's when I saw Jason walking down the hall with a box in his arms. I blinked, confused. Jason. He looked surprised to see me. Oh. Hey. I glanced at the box. You're leaving. He nodded. Yeah. Got an offer elsewhere. Better fit. He paused, then added, cleaner culture. I laughed nervously, trying to brush it off. So this has nothing to do with me. He looked at me then. Not cruelly. Just honestly. I liked you, he said. I really did. I thought you were smart. Talented. But you made all of us feel like creeps just for being in the same room with you. I felt my stomach twist. We respected you. That's why we kept our distance. Because we knew how it could be misread. We were trying to be professional. But you turned that respect into rejection. And you wore it like a crown. His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. I stood there speechless, watching him walk away. And in that moment, it all hit me at once. The silence wasn't about jealousy. It was about boundaries. The distance wasn't rejection. It was respect. And I had trashed it, for a few likes, some hollow validation, and the thrill of being right. But I wasn't right. I was just loud. And now I was alone. Now, I sit at the edge of each day differently. No more scrolling for comments. No more subtweets disguised as confidence. No more cryptic selfies begging for applause. I'm not saying I've changed overnight. But I'm changing. Therapy has been uncomfortable, to say the least. I didn't go for them. Not for Jason. Not for Anna. I went for me. Because I had to sit with the fact that what I called confidence was often just fear in high heels. Fear of being unseen. Unnoticed. Forgotten. And in that fear, I made everything about me. Every silence was rejection. Every boundary was an insult. I didn't just misread the room, I twisted it into a story where I was the misunderstood star and everyone else was too insecure to applaud. Now I know better. I don't post about work anymore. I keep things private. I still dress how I like, but I don't use my looks like a shield. Or a weapon. I don't walk into rooms expecting a reaction. I walk in quietly. Grateful just to belong. Sometimes I still think about Jason. Not in a romantic way, though, maybe once, it could have been. I think about how he treated me with respect. How he always showed up, not loudly, not flirtatiously, but consistently. And how I made that mean something ugly. I told myself he was cold. When really, he was kind. I told myself he was intimidated. When really, he was aware. He knew how the workplace worked. He knew that the best way to honor a woman in a professional space was to treat her like a professional. And I wanted the attention more than I wanted the connection. I didn't just make them uncomfortable. I made them invisible. Including the one man who actually saw me. I can't undo that. But I can own it. Because the truth is, validation feels good. But self-awareness, that feels better. Stronger. Quieter. But deeper. I just wish I had learned that before the damage was done. Before I traded respect for reaction. Before I turned dignity into content. And now, I sit with one question I wish I had asked myself sooner. Have you ever mistaken silence for hate, when it was actually respect?